Okay, so find your way to mountain pose. Pose that we always start and end in. It's a nice way to bookend practice. Start to notice sensation in your body, like what your feet feel like on the floor, what your hands feel like wherever they're resting. Start to sit up tall and elevate your spine, lift your chest. You may begin to notice some of the details about your experience at the moment, like what your breath feels like and what your body feels like. Allow that information to come in and you just gently observe. If it helps to close your eyes, you can do so. Maybe just let your gaze go soft. Watching your inhales and exhales, allowing your mind a chance to settle. If you'd like to, you can set a little intention for practice. This is something that you're working on, either on yourself or want to see more of in the world. And it can be something to remind yourself of anytime your mind starts to wander during practice. It can be like a mantra that brings you back. So maybe a word or two, just whatever your focus, whatever your goals are right now. When you're ready, we'll start off with a little breathing exercise. So let's just do our big sighing exhale. This is one of my favorites, one that we do frequently. So inhale through your nose, open mouth, sigh, let it go. Twice more. Last one's coming up. And with that, let's start to move. So find a little movement in the shoulders, shrug them up toward your ears, squeeze your shoulder blades behind you, slide them down the body. A big circular motion. And then the other way around, they kind of go up, over, down the front of your body. Wonderful. Hands on your knees, round your back, tuck your chin, little cat-cow action. Movement in the spine, the chest comes forward, the elbows tucked behind you. This is the cow shape. You can look up as far as feels comfortable on your neck. And then exhale, round back into that cat shape. More times. Wonderful. Okay. A little bit more for the shoulders. Let's have the hands down by the hips and then inhale, reach toward the sky. Flip the palms. Exhale, bring your hands back down by your hips. Back and forth a few times. Ooh, excuse me. Wonderful. Okay. And at the elbows, circle the elbows like you're drawing shapes on the walls, all the way around. Doing a lot of good stuff to loosen up those shoulders today. Okay, let's twist a little bit and then we'll go back to the shoulders. So let's do our long version of our twist where we kind of really get into it. Let's start by giving ourselves a little hug. I've got my right elbow on top if you want to match me. We're just going to gently rock back and forth. So lengthen the spine when you do this. Keep the legs as still as possible. It all happens in the upper body. Okay, here in a moment, we're going to loosen that grip to kind of more like I dream of genie arms. And we'll let the twisting motion get a little bigger. And then lastly, we're going to make like a goalpost shape with the elbows at shoulder height. And this is going to be our deepest twist. So we take it nice and slow, nice and thoughtfully, not rushing or forcing anything. Wonderful. So let's take that back in. Take those stacked arms, this time with the left elbow on top. And then that tighter grasp. Again, left elbow on top this time. Wonderful. Okay, let's go back to the shoulders. So find your shape into this goddess shape that we often do. The legs open a little bit like you've opened up like a book. Toes and knees are headed the same direction. So let's prop up with this right elbow on the thigh and just spin a few times opening the chest, like closing it toward the ground and then opening it back up again. We just twist it a little bit. The spine should be kind of loosened and warm, but this will help it a little bit more. And then maybe the next time you're face up toward the sky, stay there and meet me there. We'll start moving that shoulder around. So make this big, like helicopter type motion with your arm. If at any point your neck gets tired, you can kind of prop up. It's not really the point here, so just do what feels comfortable. And then switch the direction that you're doing with that helicopter arm, swimming around the other way. Lovely. Okay, let's try that on the other side. Left elbow props yourself up, lengthen in the spine. And then let's spin a couple of times just opening the chest toward the sky, seeing how that feels on this side, facing the ground once more, lengthening. Just see how it goes, see how it feels. And then the next time you're facing up toward the sky, stay there. Well, helicopter shapes. And the other way. Lovely. Okay, face the floor, elbows on the knees, around your back, tuck your chin. And then bring the chest back more toward like neutral, like you're reaching through the crown of your head, nice long spine. And try it again. If you ever feel cramped up in that version of this that we often do with the legs together, you always have the option to give yourself a little space like this. by opening the legs. All right. And then the next time you're rounded, take it nice and slow, hands on the knees. Slowly come up until the head, neck, or the last things that reach up to the sky again. Okay, let's continue this theme of upper body. So let's swim a little bit, reaching one arm forward and then the other one. So this combines some of the movements that we've done so far. Well, actually it doesn't because I forgot to do our side body movement. So let's go back and do that for a second. Grab one side of the chair, reach up and over, little side stretch. Inhale to center, try it the other way. Go back and forth here a couple of times and then we'll go swimming. Get things in the right order. All right. Maybe one more. And then return to your swimming motion. So now we're combining a little bit of that twisting movement and a little bit of side body movement. See what it feels like even if you reach further, like to the opposite side of the body. There's a little bit of brain teaser, keeping your skills sharp, mental skills sharp, that goes along with that when you do cross body movements. In addition to keeping the body moving too. Okay, and then let's see what it feels like when we go back to this hands on the shoulders with the elbow out sort of motion. But this time we're going to send one elbow up toward the sky while we send the other one down to the floor and kind of rotate it. So sometimes I pretend like I'm kayaking when I do this one. Again, we're kind of bending. There's side body movement and there's also a little bit of twisting and even a little bit of that cross body action if you kind of think about it. Okay, reverse the direction on your kayak. Then let it go. Okay, so let's do our Suki circles that we often do. Was one of my favorites. Again, just to spend a little bit more time on the upper body and finish loosening up the spine. So bring, if your legs are any other position, bring them a little bit wide, so not quite to goddess, but pretty close. And then bring the chest over toward this right knee, sweep across. Start to head around in a circle, like there's this imaginary center line that you're tracing. And so these movements may kind of start like they're on a regular path, but the more you get used to this idea, the more you can start to play with it. So maybe shoulder goes way up high, maybe it's the other one. Maybe when you lean back, you really, really round over the legs. Maybe you make sure the chest really lifts. Whatever feels good. Mostly here we're exploring all the variety of movement that the spine has to offer. Okay, pause over here for a second by this left leg and then switch directions. Don't forget to get funky with it if you'd like. So sending shoulders in different directions, rounding, lifting, whatever feels good. Finding space in the spine. Sometimes I like to think of the spine like it's liquid when I'm stretching and moving it around. All right, come on back to the center. Let's work on this neck and shoulder area. So if you will, take this left arm and place it on your low back. You can kind of hold it there with the right hand and then drop your right ear down toward your shoulder. Just holding while you breathe here for a few moments. And let your hands come and rest in your lap, keeping the neck kind of in the same position, but then you start to move it. So it's going to slowly nod down to where you're looking toward the floor. Slowly nod back up. So you can play around too, whether it feels good to take this left hand and really press through the fingertips. Maybe that feels nice. And then the next time your chin is tucked down toward the ground, keep it there. And then take some little micro movements with your nose, like draw little loop-de-loops, conduct an orchestra, send a little Morse code. See how that feels. And then gently bring yourself on back to the center. We'll try it the other way. Left arm comes, or sorry, this is my right arm. Right arm comes and rests on the base of your back. Hold it in place with the left hand. And then drop that left ear down toward the shoulder. Breathing. When you're ready, letting go with the hands, placing them in the lap, and then nodding back and forth. Option to kind of press these right fingertips to the floor and see how that feels. And then with the chin tucked, draw some little loop-de-loops. Noticing how that changes the stretch in your neck. When you do, we have a whole complex network of muscles in the neck that help us do all the amazing things that the head and shoulders do. They all can get tight. You're trying to access them using these different movements. See if we can stretch them back out again. All right, slowly come on back up to a neutral head and neck. And let's see. Let's finish off with a little bit in the upper dot and finish off the upper body with a little bit for the wrists and hands. So we'll do our popcorn fingers. They get small and big. It's a little warm up. You should feel heat movement kind of drifting into the hands and maybe down even into your forearms a little bit. And then start to make some circles too. Other way around with the circles. Lovely. Okay, so you can press them together, the hands, and then just gently kind of press the heels of your hands down toward the floor, little prayer hands for a little gentle stretch on the underside of your wrists. If you're more flexible than that and this doesn't feel like anything, maybe the way you do this is kind of one at a time where you press like so and then like so, just till you get a little gentle stretch through here. And then we will take our hands and stretch our wrists in the other directions. And I like to do this one with the little chicken pose. So that's where you kind of, I've got my hands folded under and then I'm pressing them into my ribs. You could do the same thing by just kind of gently pressing into them one at a time. Your choice. Few moments here. That one feels really nice to me today after a lot of typing. All right, and then we'll let it go. Okay, let's move on into our cool down that we always do for the lower body. Moving on out of the upper body for the first time in the practice. So you can stay put. I'm just turning to the side so I'm a little bit more visible. I'm gonna extend a leg. I'm gonna start with my right. Toes kind of flex up toward me. The spine gets tall, and then I hinge forward. Nice little strip. A nice little stretch for those hamstrings. Breathing slowly. Right the other way. Leg goes out, toes go up. Tall spine. Hinging. Breathing. So slow, deep breaths signaling to the body that everything's fine. It's okay to let your guard down a little bit and stretch. Wonderful. Come on back up. And then we'll take this leg and cross it over, finding our pigeon shape. If this is a little bit too high, then maybe it's something more like this. Either way, we're going to keep this foot flex, the one that's on top. Protect the knees. Looking for a little stretchy feeling over here in this hip. If you haven't found it yet, then maybe lengthen the spine and kind of tip yourself forward until you feel it a little bit come into focus. Some days when I'm really tight, I sort of tend to breathe in and out of this pose, sort of leaning back with the inhale and then leaning back forward into it with a slow exhale. You can play around and see what works for you. Wonderful. Okay, let that go. We'll try it on the left. Tall spine, the flexed foot. Option to tip forward, just hinging a little bit at those hips if you need to. Wonderful. Okay, tall spine. Let it go. Let's take one more little back bend. So grab the back of your chair with the elbows bent. You can kind of scooch out toward the edge and then straighten those elbows and lift the chest. That's not much of a stretch for you, then maybe you do it by interlacing the fingers, doing the same thing. Wonderful. Okay. Make your way to mountain pose once more. Position that we started off in. You want to take 3 more of those big sighing exhales. It might be nice. Inhale through the nose. Exhale, sigh, let it go. And then close your eyes or let your gaze go soft. Spend a few moments trying to bring to mind a sensation in your body of what it feels like when you feel grateful, thankful. So maybe this is easier if you call to mind a person or activity, maybe even a pet. And once you think you have that feeling, you can start to explore it with your senses. What does it feel like? Smell like? Taste like? Sound like? Look like? When we find ourselves in a state of gratitude. Treating that person, activity, or thing like a little touchstone that you can return to, a little bit of extra water to top off your drink. Anytime that you feel like the feeling is sort of escaping you, revisit your touchstone and then spend some time exploring that feeling with your senses. Last few moments, knowing that this feeling is available for you anytime you need to cultivate it. But for now, we'll let it go. And when you're ready, we'll seal things off with one more big inhale to the sky, and then our hands to the heart, our symbol of gratitude to each other.